In this gripping eyewitness account, Major General George Meade, commander of the Army of the Potomac, unveils haunting revelations that challenge the established narrative of the Battle of Gettysburg. Taking command just days before this critical confrontation, Meade faced the monumental task of defending against General Robert E. Lee's ambitious invasion of the North. His narrative immerses us in the chaos and valor of Union troops, who fought valiantly against overwhelming Confederate forces. From the initial clashes on July 1st to the harrowing artillery bombardments and infantry assaults that followed, Meade's insights reveal not only strategic decisions, but also the profound human cost of war. Key moments, such as the wounding of prominent leaders and the courageous defense of Cemetery Ridge, highlight the determination and bravery of his men. As Meade reflects on the battle's outcome, a pivotal turning point in the Civil War, his account provides a deeper understanding of leadership under pressure and the sacrifices made for a greater cause. This narrative stands as a testament to both Meade's tactical brilliance and the enduring spirit of those who fought at Gettysburg, forever altering American history. Upon reaching the location on July 1st, General John Reynolds found Buford's cavalry actively engaged with the enemy, who had set up their infantry along the Cashtown Road in the mountains. Buford's cavalry was doing an impressive job holding them back. Without wasting any time, General Reynolds moved around Gettysburg and advanced on the Cashtown Road. He quickly deployed his leading division and launched an attack on the enemy, while also sending orders for General Howard and the 11th Corps to move forward as fast as they could. Sadly, shortly after he organized the attack, General Reynolds was mortally wounded. As a result, command of the 1st Corps fell to Major General Abner Doubleday, while Major General Oliver O. Howard took charge of the field. Howard arrived around 11:30 a.m. with the 11th Corps, which was under Major General Carl Schurz at that time. Major General Howard acted promptly, sending 2 divisions of the 11th Corps to support the 1st Corps, which was now heavily engaged with enemy forces on a ridge to the north of town. He also positioned his 3rd Division, along with 3 artillery batteries, on Cemetery Ridge, located on the south side of town. Up to this point in the battle, Union forces had been facing enemy troops coming from the hills along the Cashtown Road. In the early stages of the fight, things were going well for the Union. Wadsworth's division from the 1st Corps had successfully pushed back the enemy some distance and captured many prisoners, including General Archer from the Confederate Army. However, between 1 o'clock and 2 p.m., reinforcements for the enemy arrived along the Cashtown Road, and Ewell's Corps joined from the York and Harrisburg roads. This allowed the enemy to bring in significantly larger forces against both the 1st and 11th Corps. They outflanked the Union battle line and pressed hard enough that by around 4 p.m., Major General Howard decided to pull back these 2 corps to Cemetery Ridge on the south side of town. This withdrawal was carried out successfully, though there was a significant loss of prisoners due to confusion, as parts of both corps moved through town, causing many men to get lost in the streets around this time. Major General Winfield Scott Hancock arrived, having been sent by General Meade to represent him on the battlefield after hearing of General Reynolds' death. Together with Major General Howard, Hancock began positioning troops on Cemetery Ridge to defend against enemy attacks on the Union's right flank. The enemy's assault was not particularly strong, as they realized the strength of the Union position and seemed content with their earlier successes, not pressing further attacks that day. By about 7 p.m., Major Generals Henry Slocum and Daniel Sickles, leading the 12th and part of the 3rd Corps, arrived and took positions on either side of the previously stationed troops, based on reports indicating that the enemy intended to support their earlier attack with their entire army. And after receiving favorable assessments from Generals Hancock and Howard regarding the Union position, General Meade decided to engage in battle at Gettysburg. Early in the evening of July 1st, Meade ordered all Corps commanders to concentrate at Gettysburg and directed that all supply trains be sent back to Westminster. At 10 p.m. that night, he disbanded his headquarters in Taneytown and moved to the field, arriving at 1 a.m. on July 2nd. As soon as it was light, Meade inspected the Union position and made arrangements for deploying the Corps as they arrived. By 7 a.m., the 2nd and 5th Corps, along with part of the 3rd Corps, had reached their positions. The 11th Corps remained on Cemetery Ridge, directly opposite the town. The 1st Corps was placed to the right of the 11th Corps on an elevated knoll connecting with a ridge extending south and east, where the 12th Corps was stationed. The right flank of the 12th Corps rested by a small stream where it crossed the Baltimore Pike, creating an obstacle for any enemy advance from that direction. Cemetery Ridge extended southwestward, gradually decreasing in height until it reached a prominent ridge known as Round Top, which ran east and west. The 2nd and 3rd Corps were assigned to occupy the continuation of Cemetery Ridge to the left of the 11th Corps. The 5th Corps was held in reserve until the arrival of the 6th Corps. While these arrangements were being made, the enemy was gathering their forces on an outer ridge about 1 to 1.5 miles from our line at around 2 p.m. The 6th Corps arrived after marching 32 miles since 9 p.m. the previous day. Upon receiving news of their arrival, I ordered the 5th Corps to move to our far left while positioning the 6th Corps as a reserve for our right flank. Around 3 p.m., I went out to our extreme left to await the arrival of the 5th Corps and its deployment when I discovered that Major General Sickles, commanding the 3rd Corps, had misunderstood his orders regarding his position. He had advanced his corps about half a mile or 3/4 of a mile ahead of where it should have been placed, along the line of the 2nd Corps. After finding Major General Sickles, I explained that he was too far forward and discussed whether he should withdraw. Suddenly, enemy artillery opened fire on him from several batteries in front and on his flank, followed by columns of infantry launching a vigorous assault against his position. The 3rd Corps displayed remarkable bravery under pressure. General Hancock quickly sent troops from the 2nd Corps to protect the right flank of the 3rd Corps shortly after the enemy's assault began. The 5th Corps arrived and positioned itself on the left of the 3rd Corps, promptly sending forces to occupy Round Top Ridge. A fierce battle ensued, with the enemy making desperate but unsuccessful attempts to take the ridge, despite the determined resistance from the 3rd Corps led by Major General Birney. As Major General Sickles had been wounded earlier, the enemy's numerical advantage allowed them to outflank the Corps. Consequently, General Birney had to retreat and regroup behind their original line. Meanwhile, recognizing the enemy's strong efforts, I brought up the 6th Corps under Major General Sedgwick and part of the 1st Corps commanded by Major General Newton, along with Lockwood's Maryland Brigade and detachments from the 2nd Corps, together with the brave resistance of the 5th Corps. These reinforcements managed to halt and eventually drive back the enemy's assault, which retreated in disarray around sunset later that evening. Around 8 p.m., an attack was launched against the 11th Corps from the left side of the town. This assault was repelled with help from troops in both the 2nd and 1st Corps. During this intense fighting on our extreme left, parts of the 12th Corps were sent in as reinforcements. While these events unfolded, our extreme right was held by a significantly reduced force. The enemy took advantage of this situation during General Geary's absence from his division in the 12th Corps and advanced to occupy part of his position. On the morning of July 3rd, General Geary returned during the night and launched a dawn attack against the enemy, successfully driving them back and reclaiming his previous position. A lively contest continued throughout the morning along this section of the line. General Geary, supported by Wheaton's brigade from the 6th Corps, held his ground and inflicted heavy losses on the enemy. Aside from this action, the lines remained quiet until 1 p.m. on July 3rd, when the enemy unleashed a barrage from 125 cannons targeting our center and left. This cannonade lasted over 2 hours, and when our artillery, following my orders, failed to respond, the enemy ceased firing. Soon after, their infantry formations became visible as they prepared to assault our left and left center. The assault was launched with determination, primarily aimed at the position held by the 2nd Corps, which repelled the attack with equal resolve. During this engagement, both Major General Hancock, commanding the left center, and Brigadier General Gibbon of the 2nd Corps were severely wounded. This marked the conclusion of the battle, with the enemy retreating to their lines. leaving behind many dead and wounded as well as numerous prisoners in our custody. After their strenuous service at Gettysburg on July 1st, Buford's Cavalry Division was sent to Westminster on July 2nd for rest and to protect our supply trains. Kilpatrick's division, which had successfully engaged with enemy cavalry on the previous days, was dispatched to our far left along the Emmetsburg Road on July 3rd to distract the enemy and keep their attention occupied. Meanwhile, General Gregg was involved in a confrontation with the enemy on our far right after crossing the Baltimore Pike and Bonatown Road, boldly attacking their left and rear positions. As we conclude Major General George Meade's powerful account of the Battle of Gettysburg, we are left with a profound sense of the sacrifices made on those hallowed grounds. The echoes of cannon fire and the bravery of countless soldiers remind us of the pivotal moment that shaped our nation's history. The fierce struggle between Union and Confederate forces not only determined the fate of the Civil War, but also forged a legacy that continues to resonate today. What if the outcome had been different? How might our country look now? These questions linger in the air, inviting us to reflect on the enduring impact of Gettysburg. The battle was not just a fight for territory. It was a clash of ideals that would define a nation. As we remember this monumental event, we honor those who fought and sacrificed, ensuring their stories and legacies live on.